I've already introduced myself. I'm Duncan. I'm a celebrant, so I conduct, create and ceremonies. This is aimed at people who do go networking, but it's a little bit about my story of networking, how it fits into my business and how I started networking really from the beginning. Maybe it might be useful for people that haven't networked before, hopefully. So yeah, I thought I'd share with you this morning my journey through networking. So the first thing I've got, so I call it the impact of networking. And so it's a little bit about my story and weaved into it all as well. This is me launching my business. So I started as a celebrant about 4 or 5 years ago. It was very much a heart-led decision. I didn't have a business plan. I sort of fell into it. Well, some people in the room know my story. Both my parents died within 6 months of each other 7 years ago. And I had a celebrant to conduct my father's funeral. And it sort of stayed in my mind, really. At the time, I was in the corporate world. I was an operations manager for global companies all across the UK. It's quite a high-flying job, knew lots of people, been doing it for 30-odd years. And like I say, then my parents died, bottom fell out of my world. Everything became meaningless, and I met Bill, the celebrant in Manchester, at my dad's funeral, and I thought, yes, I think I could probably do that. It'd be something that would be really, nice to do, help other people at such a sad time as Bill helped me. So I just packed my job in, as you do, became a celebrant, went on a course to London, became a celebrant. So I'm sat in my conservatory and I'm thinking this. The first thing I did was set up my website, which is only part of it, as probably people that have got websites and their own businesses know. And I'm thinking, okay, so I'm sat here, I'm a celebrant, got my website, what do I do next? Never heard about networking, didn't know what it was, never been self-employed before. So I joined the FSB, Federation of Small Businesses. That was my first sort of step into networking. And from there, it just sort of exploded from there, kind of thing. People, obviously, you all network in the room. You go to your first networking meeting, and straight away, other people want to invite you to other networks, don't they? Well, quite a few do, give you their cards and everything. I was to meet somebody that we all know quite well at that first FSB meeting, and that was Martin Sparrow. Hence, I'm now part of this group, who Martin was an accountant, now retired, semi-retired, do we know?
He's trying.
Yeah, I was trying to retire, yeah. So he was part of FSB in Coventry. I think Sheila might have been there at my first meeting. Was that about 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah, so from that first, I went to FSB because I'm part of FSB and I thought, I pay for FSB, I'll go to an FSB meeting. So I went to that first one in Coventry. Like I say, and I met Martin. And that was my first foray, and it was really scary because I had to get up and speak to people and things like that. I think also at that time I was probably suffering, well, I did suffer for 2 years from imposter syndrome because there was me, I come out of this corporate world as an ops manager and suddenly I'm telling everybody I'm a celebrant, and it was like really weird, but anyway, imposter syndrome. So so that was quite a strange first meeting. So yeah, from FSB, which is the formal side of networking. I then got introduced to other networks, which I'm calling all my formal kind of networking. That's how sorry, can you see that okay? Yeah. So from FSB I came to here, which is RIBN. That was through Martin. I met all these lovely people and I've stayed in this group since. The other group is LBN, is Leamington Business Networking. So very similar to this, but in Leamington. I tried others. We've got the 3-letter word there, the BNI. I know that a few of you do BNI in the room. I went to quite a lot of 4M meetings. I went to some women-only groups, which I still probably go to, and I'm part of some local groups as well. So, sort of a mixture, really. And then more recently, having got over my imposter syndrome, I am now a celebrant, have been for nearly 4.5 years. I started to tell a lot more people about who I am and what I do. So I'm much more vocal about it. So informally, I go and sit on the mat in the village hall on Wednesday mornings and do my Pilates and chat to people about what I do. WI, I've been invited to quite a few WI groups. I put Remembrance Day on there. That's my local village. I live in Woolston down the road. They've got a classic car club, and they decided to start to do a remembrance service every year at the National Arboretum. So because I've been telling everybody that I'm a celebrant, they asked me would I go, so I'm going next Sunday to the National Arboretum to conduct a remembrance service for them. There's a lot of ex-forces people as part of that group, so that's quite nice. I also conducted a commitment ceremony in my village, in the woods, for a couple, and half the village were invited to that. So that was another good opportunity, obviously, for networking. So that was a really good way for people to actually see what I do. Often you say to people, I'm a celebrant, and they look at you twice and they don't really understand what it was. They totally got it that day. This couple did a commitment ceremony in the woods and had their hands tied and had their children involved and everything else, so that was good. Groups on Facebook, like I said, I'm telling everyone I know. And I do a lot of collaboration with other celebrants and suppliers as well. I think when I first started, other celebrants were kind of, I don't know, competition, do we talk to them? I was comparing myself with them, but I decided to take a whole different approach in the last sort of couple of years, and now I invite them into my world. I see it very much as collaboration. I'm fortunate that I have got busier over the last year, and it's quite nice to know and recommend other celebrants to people. And I know a lot of couples say to me, thank you, that's great, we'll recommend you to other people for doing that. So that's the kind of collaborative approach that I'm taking at the moment. So there we go. Oh, you see, this is where we're going to big up Lindsay here. So, yes. So it took me a couple of years really to get to grips with this whole networking thing. As I said, imposter syndrome, new business, COVID. I also was not very well in the middle of it all as well. So I then, obviously, I've worked quite closely with Lindsay on marketing and blogs and everything from my website. Not obviously, but I do. And I'm taking more of a strategic approach now to my networking. It's less kind of potluck and going to all these different groups and going out there and just, you know, mixing with people, which I do enjoy very much, actually. I'm a real people person. Yeah, Lindsay's got this How to Write an Effective Marketing Plan booklet, which has been great. I did have marketing as part of what I did as an ops manager, but I never sort of applied it to my own business, which was kind of a totally different, but I'm trying to now. So I do view networking as part of my marketing strategy. So strategy, I've got a strategy, can't believe it. So part of my marketing strategy, which now I do look at holistically, is obviously my website, which I talked about. It started off as a website. It's been evolved and changed, as you can imagine. As you know, if you've got your own business, your business evolves and changes. You change as a person. You maybe find your niche, which I've not quite found yet, but nearly there. I also, social media, it's a bit of a nightmare for me, social media. How often do you post every day? No, I don't think so. But I've managed to find a little bit of a good approach to my social media, which means I'm not on it every single minute of the day because it was just not really good for my mental health. Anyway, Google My Business is one of my biggest ways that I get myself out there. It's free, I post on it regularly, but I also employ a business that helped me keep myself up on Google. So after 2.5 years, I'm now on #1 on page 1 of Google for Celebrant in Warwickshire, or Celebrant near me, so that's really pleased about that. I attend wedding fairs, so I come to a wedding fair here. I go to wedding fairs in some of the lovely venues like Bilsley Manor and places like that where I've conducted ceremonies. I'm on several directories. If you don't know about the wedding world, there's millions of directories out there. Lindsay's nodding, you had a wedding, didn't you? And yeah, went on directories. So they're all out there hitched and things like that with people that are planning weddings. I blog quite regularly with Lindsay's help, which is great. And I also network with other wedding professionals. Okay. So networking fits in with all that. So I think it's about, I try to keep in my mind, in terms of my strategy, that I do, I focus on different parts of that at different times, and I kind of keep it in perspective.
There's a lot going on there, isn't there?
Yeah.
You've got an awful lot
Yeah.
going on.
People ask, am I busy? When I'm not busy, I'm busy. Do you know? When I'm not out there actually doing it. Yeah, I think putting together this presentation has probably helped me quite a lot realise how much I do and how much because for instance, Google My Business, I need to post on that twice a week at least to keep up there. So, and that's creating posts, being creative with posts that you put on there, photographs, reviews, chasing reviews, that kind of thing as well. So, yeah, makes you realise how much there is involved, doesn't it? Doing it all yourself as well. When I first went networking, I think that I just went a bit mad. Well, it did me good because I'm a people person. I hadn't been used to being at home. I was always away, flying all over the place, Scotland and places overnight and everything. And I wasn't used to just sort of sitting at home. So it was quite nice to go networking, meeting people, get out there. But I probably went a bit mad, like 4 or 5 networking meetings a week, and it was all too much really. So I've sort of gradually come back to what really works for me, which are the 2 local groups, like I said, here and Leamington, which I've focused on, and maybe a smattering of the women-only groups with ladies that are planning weddings and know people that are planning weddings and everything. So it's about, I went out there, sort of scattergun approach, and I pulled back really and just focused on 1 or 2 groups so that I can go to them, regularly and everything else. So, okay. So obviously the one person that hadn't been networking's now left. But as we said to him, what to expect when you go networking, as you all know, as we've done this morning, this elevator pitch. I haven't quite ever mastered that tagline like you have, Steve, but creating beautiful bespoke ceremonies just for you. Something like that, tagline, I need to really master the tagline. And obviously one-to-ones where you really get to know people, their businesses, exactly what they do. We'll have to meet after this meeting for a coffee outside in the hotel or somewhere, so there we go. It's not for everyone. It isn't for everyone. I've asked quite a few people to come to this group. They can't either because they've got commitments or children they need to take to school at this time of the morning. So it's a time of day. It's not for everyone. It can be hard work. The big breakfast. See, I just had fruit this morning. I have to get into these really nice dresses I wear. It can be hard work. Like I say, some can be quite formal. I have been to a couple of other meetings. Keep going about BNI. I've been to a couple of BNI meetings. I didn't really feel like my business fitted in with BNI. I didn't feel like I knew enough people to be able to recommend whatever. It just probably wasn't right for me. It's right for other businesses. It can be a slow burn. This is, I think, 4 years I've been in this group now, and stuck to it. Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
I think the slow burn is our sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we've got quite a few people around the table that can actually answer questions that you may have.
Yeah.
Be able to say, this is what you should be doing.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And there's something nice, and it gets more comfortable and less formal, doesn't it? And you get to know people, and who you can ask what questions of. And people have always got different issues and problems that they share, which I'm going to come on to about one of the best. And Lindsay, you're going to like this one, it needs to be measured. We need to measure it. We need to know, are we getting value? Have we had any inquiries, and what are we getting from it? Rather than just paying for the lovely breakfast. Okay, so then all my benefits, which most of you would know in the room, so this is what I've put as the benefits that have been to me. You're not on your own as a small business owner, that was important to me. The people in the room sell for you, hopefully. Yeah, recommend people. Have a rant. We don't do that at this meeting. Learning from other businesses. Yeah, building confidence, getting up and doing these presentations, like-minded people. For me as a celebrant, if I get invited to other networking, they're in really nice venues, hotels. Obviously as a celebrant, you know, where I would conduct ceremonies, that can be a real big benefit for me as well. So yeah, I've just done a quick summary page. Took me a while to find networks that suited me and my business. Yeah, and you get out what you put in. Yeah, and recommending others, you know, keeping it local and people that you know, recommend them to other people is a big benefit as well. Okay, so that's my little summary. I hope you found it interesting about how I came to be here and part of this group through thick and thin, as we say. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much for your time. Has anybody got any questions?
So how many networking do you do now? Is it one every week?
What do I do? Yeah. Yeah, well, it's this one regularly. We meet every 2 Tuesdays. Thursday mornings at Leamington, which is twice a month as well. Sometimes it's the same week, sometimes it's not. I get invited to quite a lot of other networking meetings from those meetings. So I went to a ladies' first meeting the other week, which was really good. What else do I do? No, I think that's it.
Because I've been there when you do everything that's going. Everyone invites you, so you turn up and you end up doing 4 or 5 a week, and then you're not getting the benefit.
No.
You have to build the relationships, because I've done them all.
Yeah.
I'm on the fits.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, I've pulled it back to just the 2 regular meetings. My thinking was, rather than going into Coventry, which I feel is a larger city, that I would keep it to Rugby and Leamington and get known as a celebrant in the smaller places, which is easier to do, isn't it? You know, in Rugby, for instance.
You could have been swamped by the Coventry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, yeah. I did start off at FSB in Coventry, but then it moved to the Arnold House, didn't it, FSB? Who was in FSB, Sheila?
Well, no, there was 2 groups. There was Rugby FSB that met at Arnold House.
Right, okay.
And then Coventry
Yeah.
was at Coventry, but they do all the networking online.
They do, and they haven't gone back to in person, which I find quite strange. Yeah, definitely. I mean, while we were going through COVID, it was quite nice to see people on Zoom and everything. I think that we've come through the other end. It's nice to get out and about and meet people again and see people in person. So, yeah.